On April 30, 1991, in the small quiet town of Fermoy in Ireland, an elderly couple, Conor and Sheila Dwyer, went missing. They were last seen leaving here at St. Patrick's Roman Catholic Church. Their disappearance baffled the whole town, mainly because the church was just a walking distance away from their home. So, the big question is, how did they go missing from such a short trip? The couple were known to be very polite and they get along with the community. Sheila is a stay-at-home wife while Conor worked as a handyman. They have two elder children who lives in England and they visit them occasionally. Overall, the family live a fairly normal life. Even though they get along with their peers, they are also quite private and like to keep things to themselves. For example, there were times that the neighbors wouldn't hear anything from them for days or even weeks. But the moment when they see them again, the couple would mention that they just went on a vacation. So this time, when they didn't see Sheila and Conor for a long time, the neighbors just immediately assumed that they just went on their usual holidays. But little do they know, this was completely different. Their disappearance was only alerted when Sheila's sister raised their concern. They tried calling their sister, but she didn't pick up. At first, they thought there's something wrong with Sheila's phone and believed that it may be broken. So, they waited a couple more days to call her back. But again, she didn't answer. At this point, they found this very strange. The sisters often call each other and Sheila would instantly pick up whenever they call. Nonetheless, they kept trying and trying, but all of it failed. With no other choice, they finally decided to visit her. When they arrived at their place, they proceeded on the front door and knocked, hoping that they would answer. They did this for a couple of minutes. Unfortunately, nobody opened the door. Now, they thought they may be sleeping, so they knocked a little harder, then started shouting their name. Still, zero response. They inspected around the outside of the house and noticed that the windows were shut closed and the blinds were down. Everything looks odd, and the worst case scenario crossed their mind. They believed that due to their old age, they must have suffered a serious medical condition and couldn't answer the door. And so, out of desperation, they called the police for help. Once authorities arrived and talked to the sisters, they then forced their way into the house. As soon as they entered, they immediately ran to the bedroom to check if Sheila and Conor were there. But no, the room was empty. They checked the rest of the house for any clues. The place was quite organized. There was no signs that it was robbed or any hints that an awful event took place. They also noticed that all of their belongings were left behind. The closet was full of clothes and their luggage and passports were found. It didn't look like that the couple went on a vacation. After a thorough investigation, the sister noticed something unusual. Conor owned a white Toyota car and it's missing in the driveway. The missing car puzzled the police because it was under initial impression that the couple went missing while walking home from church. This completely changed the whole story. Also, another significant information was brought up. Sheila's sisters said that they talked to her on May 1st. That's the next day after they were reported last seen. This now makes it clear that they got home from church safely and they probably gone missing days after and somewhere far away. Once this came up, it changes the whole course of the investigation. We know that the sister paid them a visit on May 22nd, almost 3 weeks last time they spoke. Therefore, we can conclude that they went missing from May 2nd to the 21st. With this new information, the search became much tougher, and now they must look outside the town. On top of that, CCTV were not very popular compared today, and so they have to rely on interviewing any potential witnesses. There were several theories that were suggested. One of them is that they started a new life, but some are skeptical of this because the couple have no reason to do it. Majority of their belongings were left behind and they didn't have a huge debt to run away from. Speaking of money, the authorities worked with the bank to monitor their account. They know that if there's any recent activity, that could be a huge tip to track them down. But so far, nothing. But there is one particular theory that may explain their disappearance, and this involved the river Blackwater, which runs through the small town. They suggested that it could be possible that they fell into this river. So, they started looking for any tire skids near the river that may indicate that this happened. However, no such markers were found anywhere. Searching through the river also proven to be a challenge because it has strong current and the water was quite murky. While the police were busy searching, the residents were concerned for their own safety. Not only this case made shockwave across town, it also put a lot of fear in the community because there may be a possibility that a suspect was involved. Just a year ago, another person also went missing in their small town, and they believe that these two cases may be linked together and someone was responsible for these missing cases. William Fennessy, or also known as Bill, went missing just a year prior, on March 30, 1990. He lived just 2 miles away from the Dwyers and was quite well known in the community. John Murphy, who knew Bill and the Dwyers, found the incidents quite odd. Before all of this, the town was a very peaceful place, and to think that these two cases occurred within a short period of time, someone must be pulling the strings. Is there a killer on the loose? Is there someone orchestrating all of this? These were the questions that many people asked. The disappearances caused anxiety around town. Some believe a suspect is terrorizing the place, and who knows, they could be next. While there are people who are sure that a suspect was the reason of their disappearance, some still insisted that the couple fell into the river. They said a sinkhole may have devoured the car, which is why they couldn't find them. Again, all of these are speculation. Unfortunately, after hours of search efforts and multiple interviews, no more leads came up. Eventually, the investigation was completely stopped. 22 years later, on 2013, a huge breakthrough arises which could possibly crack the case. A dive team who was doing their routine found a rusty car deep in the river Blackwater. When they investigated further, they found one body. They couldn't identify it since it was beyond recognizable. They sent a DNA test to figure out who it is, and it turned out to be William Fennessy. Since they discovered his body, it gave them hope that there is a possibility that they would find the Dwyers. They scoured the river and used modern equipment, hoping to have similar result. After days and days of searching, sadly, they didn't find anything. The case was truly mysterious. Very little clues were left behind, as if they just disappeared into thin air. But the upside of this story is that even though the couple's disappearance is still unsolved, it at least brought closure to the case of William Fennessy.